Welcome everybody to another edition of the Heirloom Radio Show. I want to take the time to thank everybody for joining me. I am your host, Dennis Brown. And it feels good to be back. I haven't done a podcast in a month or so now, damn near a month. So it feels great to be back. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. And this show is brought to you by my book, The Family Heirloom, Lessons on Life, Relationships, and Personal Development, which is an incredible read. So I hope everybody picks up a copy if you don't have one already. And I got a great show lined up for you guys today. But first, I want to send my condolences out to the people who were affected by the Colorado theater shooting. That was some real sick shit. And, I hate that people had to experience something like that because that's going to stick with them forever. And my heart and my prayers go out to the people who lost someone or who were affected by it, period. Because I saw where a lady lost her 6-year-old daughter. And my daughter is 6 years old right now. So that really struck a chord with me. So my heart goes out to them. And I hope that, they find a way to process everything that went on and hopefully can find closure someday. But, it's just sad, man. And my heart and my prayers go out to them. So, and I know there's all kinds of foundations set up for people to help the victims. So if you're in a position where you're able to help, please do so. It's just a lot going on in this world today, man. It's a lot to deal with. And that's one of the reasons why I do this show, to offer a unique perspective on problems that people are dealing with and to, offer a solution. I never do this show just to talk or to hear myself talk. There's always a lesson involved with every show that I do, with every blog that I write, with every single page in my book. So I hope that people take heed and people listen, because I really take the time to put information out there that's going to help people. And today, the show is no different. Today I want to talk to you guys about filling voids. Businesses are built and fortunes are made where there's a void to be filled. But first you have to identify it, assess if there's any competition, and take action from there. And it doesn't matter what field we're talking about. It holds true that if you can fill a void, you can build a successful business. Let's look at gossip magazines and these gossip websites. Now I don't know if it's the abundance of gossip sites and reality TV that fuels people's obsession, or people's obsession that has created this abundance of supply of gossip magazines and gossip websites. It's that whole what came first, the chicken or the egg scenario. People have become bored with their lives and they seek to live vicariously through public figures. This is a void. And essentially, they just fill in a void that they know people are dying to have filled. I think it's much like a drug dealer who comes along and gives you your first few hits for free. And once you're addicted, they have you. The person who has the drugs is a guide to the person who is in deep desire of the drugs. And right now, sites like TMZ and a few other magazines and gossip sites are the new drug dealer. And that's why TMZ is so popular. People get mad at them, because they photographers be all up in their face and whatnot. But, they just fill in a void and catering to people's obsession. So you can't really get mad at them. So you have to understand the consumer drives the market. If there was a sudden stop in demand, if people stop visiting these sites, if people stop buying gossip magazines, overnight you'd see a shift. You see a supplier adjust their inventory and manufacturing based on the demand. And if the demand stops, then I can guarantee the supply is going to dry up. They're going to find another void to fill. But, people love what they do. People love, their gossip. And there's a huge demand for it. Therefore, there's going to be people there to supply it, i.e. fill a void. And, a lot of people get mad and criticize stations like BET. And I understand the criticism. But at the same time, you have to look at BET for what it stands for. It stands for Black Entertainment Television. It doesn't stand for Black Educational Television. The problem is you got too many niggas that just prefer being entertained and not enough that's just demanding education. You can't get mad at them for giving the people what they seemingly want, especially when they making money hand over fist while doing so. You have to understand the consumer drives the market. If enough viewers said, we will not watch your station until you show educational programming and also shed light on the police brutality toward us, we will not watch your station. And watch how quick the programming changes. But that won't happen because people desire what is already being served. And you can't get mad at the supplier for giving the people what they desire. You know, if you find out people have an appetite for candy, you know, have an uncontrollable sweet tooth, you be a fool not to get out on the street and sell chocolate or candy. You be an even bigger fool not to open up a candy store. You be an even bigger fool not to change your name to Willy Wonka and open up a chocolate factory. You know, public demand drives the market, and this is with anything. It's called hustle. It's called filling a void. It's called capitalism, capitalizing on a void. I mean, and I'm not here to argue whether it's right or wrong, but I mean, it is the world that we live in, and you either adapt or you perish. And it doesn't even have to be a negative thing. You know, filling a void, like I said, is applicable to any field. You know, even if you're doing charity work, if you find out kids are hungry somewhere, doing your part to fill that void and make sure that they don't go hungry and supplying them with food is filling a void. If you find out the elderly are being abused, you stepping in and filling the void to fight on their behalf where they can't fight for themselves is also filling a void. So again, you can be successful at anything you want to be successful at as long as you can find that void, find that wedge, and find out the best way to fill it. But first you have to learn how to observe situations and observe different fields and really do your research on it and find out what's needed and find the best way to get what's needed. And this is going to be a short show today. But before I end the show, I want to talk to you guys about capitalism and capturing market share. You know, capitalism gives people the opportunity to hustle and dominate certain fields of business, but it also creates a jungle-like business atmosphere, you know, where one animal eats the other to survive. It's creating an environment where for someone to rise, someone else has to fall or somewhat be suppressed. In order for an animal to eat, another has to be eaten. It may not kill the entire herd, but the herd's numbers has to drop. You know, Netflix versus Blockbuster may ring a bell. You know, what about MySpace versus Facebook? Facebook rose while MySpace fell. You know, Blockbuster is still around, but their numbers had to be dropped. You know, that's the world we're living in. You have to find a way to get that competitive edge and become the top producer in the field you're in. You know, and if you haven't already done so, I mean, even if you have already done so, go back and listen to the show I did called The Formula. You know, it's speaking directly to college students and high school students right now. Also, it's speaking to people who are trying to build a business. And I give great tips on how to capture market share in that episode called The Formula. So make sure you check that out. I mean, you're going to have other businesses that have power and won't fall completely. They just won't have as much power and market share as the dominant business. And if you're looking to be dominant in a specific field, you're going to have to learn to capture that market share. So go back and listen to that show, The Formula. You know, people are fighting to fill a void and capture as much market share as they can within a specific field. So you have to make yourself king of the space and environment that you occupy, and the person who best fills a specific void will be the most powerful and the most dominant within that field. You know, and it's crazy that this is done on so many levels, even in relationships. You know, people with insecurities that weigh on their mind regularly, you know, seek to be in a relationship with someone who they consider to be secure in the areas that they are insecure in. You know, too often people aren't willing to work on and fix their insecurities. So they look for an outside contractor to fix them for them. You know, that's another reason people like to live vicariously through others. It seems easier that way. You know, so you have to decide, are you going to be the person who needs voids filled, or are you going to be the person who's filling voids and building a profitable business while doing so? You know, the choice is yours, so you have to choose wisely. But anyway, that's today's episode of the Heirloom Radio Show. It feels great to be back. I got another show lined up for you guys real soon. I appreciate everybody for joining me. And make sure you go out and you support my book, The Family Heirloom. And shout out to everybody who already has it. I appreciate the feedback. And I appreciate you guys for tuning in every week and checking out my site. I will see you guys soon. Peace.